Bling bling.
Yep.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A, the UBports Foundations show, discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch and our community's questions. This is episode 48, streamed live on April 20th, 2019. I remember what day it is, everyone. My name is Dalton, and joining me this week are Marius.
Hello.
Florian.
Hi.
And our special guest this week, Alfred.
Hello.
Now, we're going to get to talking to you quite a bit later. But first, we need to clear this desk off and get some things out of the way. So let's start with some news. I wanted to highlight a few new app releases this time around because we have got some really good releases in the open store that I want everyone to go and download right now. Not later, now.
Watch us first.
Let's start off with Kaidan, an XMPP client made with the Kirigami toolkit. Now, this is a really cool app, and they've been giving us clicks to test for a while, and they've had that out, not out for a while, but now they finally got it in the open store. It's updating, and I believe it's releasing automatically from their CI.
Ooh.
This is not the first Kirigami app. I think that goes to the Kirigami gallery. But this is an app that everyone should have because XMPP is cool and you need it.
Never used it.
Yeah, and actually it's the first cross-platform app that we have, and that is really working because the gallery is just showing off the controls, and you cannot really do anything with a Kirigami gallery app. You can just install it for testing more or less. But that one shows that we are able to make a cross system, or cross-platform is not the right word. Cross OS version of an app, and others will follow probably. Yeah,
the spirit of GNU Linux.
Yeah.
Up next on my little curated list here is Gearboy Color, which is Brian Douglas's fork of Gearboy, the Game Boy emulator, which was originally ported to Ubuntu Touch by Ryan Patterson, and it's based on Ignacio Sanchez's Gearboy.
You don't need to know all this to use it,
yes.
I hope there are now a few cool things that I could download and see if it works like on the original Game Boy, because everybody knows I'm still from the age where these things were real and I could touch some of them. Yeah, not only emulators. I never had a Game Boy, but I borrowed them for a few minutes always from other guys and stuff.
The only Game Boy I had was the Advance, and that was like way.
Yeah, me too. We're too young or something like that.
You're both too young. That's not the original thing. The original thing was monochrome, busting with strange sounds, and it had AAA batteries and no charger. So
me and Dalton already had 3D graphics at that point. So
I mean, they weren't. You can't call that 3D.
Well, PlayStation 1 was pretty good though.
But you should all grab yourselves some Game Boy ROMs that you legally own from on physical copies.
Yes.
And you have legally backed up yourself and
yes.
play them on your Ubuntu Touch device.
Illegally.
No. You got me.
I just wanted to say that Ubuntu Touch is a great gaming platform, and now the people will think, okay, you have to be, let's say, unofficial. No, we are officially also a great gaming platform.
Yeah, there are a few apps in the store now, which some came from the Ubuntu time. Some come all the way back from Nokia, don't they? What is that? Pathwind, I think.
Oh.
I should take me a weekend or so to try them out. Maybe we should make a review, a games review competition one day. the people should come up with good reviews or bad reviews, and
Or
let's see.
bad reviews.
I'm also surprised by I think there's Cut the Rope or whatever. That's coded.
I don't think
in
that one's
HTML.
back in the store because that
No,
one's copyrighted.
Yeah, I know, but it was written in HTML5.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
And then it was just in the HTML5 web app container.
Cool.
One more app that I want to bring to everyone's attention this week, if you don't already know about it, Fluffy Chat is an awesome Matrix client that everyone should use. And this week, you can use it even more because thanks to Tim Zubercrew, how'd I do?
Super group. It's okay.
I did okay. All right. Fluffy Chat is just a snap install Fluffy Chat away on many Linux distributions.
I would have to try that right now.
I am using it right now to watch Matrix during this. I love this client. I like it much better than Riot. Even if sometimes it's missing a thing or two, it works, and it's fast, and it's great, and I love it.
Yeah.
It works.
It has definitely the potential to get also on the desktop as a good alternative to all the existing clients. I even would like to have a Windows version out of it because there are actually no usable clients for Windows now. The only one that I know is slow and buggy, and it continues alpha stage, and they don't release.
Does Riot itself work on Windows?
The web version should.
The web version does. The web version, I mean, okay, the web version. But I was looking for a native client, and I thought Quaternion. Quaternion is a strange thingy.
It's another cute client, isn't it?
Maybe it is. I don't even know that, but for sure I would have to take a look. But anyways, it's somehow developed. But Fluffy Chat for Windows, go guys! That would be a good challenge.
So
Yeah.
Right, Linux.
there is something else that we need to talk about here because this right here is convergence. I'm running the same software on my phone and my desktop. The future is now, and we have achieved it. Thank you, Tim. You made convergence.
Tim, we love you.
Tim, we love you. Okay, that is my little spiel on all of the apps that you need to download right now. So, open-store.io to get all of your favorite apps, or open the Open Store app on your Ubuntu Touch device.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about OTA 9, shall we?
Sure. I love OTAs.
Don't sound too excited.
Hey!
So, OTA 9 is kind of shaping up here. We are getting to the point where we want 6 to 8 week development cycles, and we are nearing on week 7, 8. Very close to the end. So we've discussed in the developers group a bit how we're going to do this release. We're thinking, we know that we won't have the new Unity 8 that is currently in the Edge channel for this release. This is going to be another long transition. Not as long as 1604, we're thinking. Definitely not. But this is a long transition that we're going to keep working on. And we learned our lesson from the 1604 transition, and we aren't going to completely stop stable updates while we're working on it. That's a smart. But this update is no slouch at all, because Ruben just this last week joined a few groups again and said, "Hey guys, I fixed the Nexus 5 camera." And we said, "What? How did you do that?" And he said, "I changed 6 lines." Okay.
I tried to double confirm with him if it's really just a permission issue, because sometimes, developers think they fix something with just 6 lines and then it turns out to be 600. And I said, okay, before we merge this, double confirm to me that this is the only change we need. And he said, yes. So I believed in it, and well, there we are.
It's really surprising that I think me and Dalton, I go over many times Well,
How did this work?
why did it not work with the current permission? It's like uh, the
It
camera
doesn't
worked,
make
but
sense.
yeah, the camera worked in itself, but it just frees up because of permission. It's like, what?
So to be clear, it is still not perfect. I filed a bug where it will occasionally freeze when you go between still picture and video mode. So it's not perfect yet, but
But getting
it does
there.
not freeze every time you take a still image, which is really annoying, and it's fixed now, and that is awesome.
So praise Ruben.
Praise Ruben / praise Ruben. Let's get that running. Let's spam the supergroup.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So a little bit of context, maybe for people that don't know which Ruben is meant by that, because there might be more than just Ruben. Ruben Carneiro is from Portugal. He is developing he's actually porting for a long time, right, Marius? Since almost
before I was around.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So it must be more than 2.5 years now, maybe 3 years or so, or even longer. I don't know. And he did a lot for Nexus 5 already, and but he has also got some other devices, and he made also some nice backgrounds now. So he made splash screens in black with black background that don't hurt the eyes anymore, and we can eventually think about rolling out new splash screens with getting rid of Android logos on all the core devices actually.
Yeah.
That's
So
also the
Ruben,
second thing I wanted to mention here.
Mhm.
Ruben is probably one of the persons that has been there. Yeah, like one of the first, I think.
It feels like
Actually.
forever, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's oh man, it started this in 2015. It's like, oh man, I'm getting old.
Don't call yourself old, because
That's not true.
not true.
But it feels like I'm old.
Shall we show off a little bit of what we've been working on in the Edge channel, though?
Sure.
Let's do that. So the Edge channel is our separate release channel for Ubuntu Touch, which does not affect the Devil RC2 stable transition, automatic, whatever it's called, release pipeline. Instead, it builds from different software, and that's where we've been testing our upgrade of Unity 8 and Mir to their newest upstream versions. Because when Canonical dropped Unity 8, or Ubuntu Touch, it was on an older version of Unity 8 that was more highly developed for mobile, and they kind of branched off and started developing more for desktop and leaving mobile by the wayside for a little bit. All right, Marius has got it up here. Why don't I just present Marius to everyone?
Woo! So we have the new launcher, and we have rotation, which is not
Which was
in
working
Devil yet.
before, just not in Edge.
Not in Edge. It's also not in Edge itself now. It's still under PR. You can't really see anything.
Turn down
But
the
this is
brightness.
yeah, I should do that. That's a good idea, Dalton. Professionalism.
Professional. We are good at this.
So as you can see, there is no like home anymore. The home is here. And this new lovely launcher.
You have a new app launcher where you get all of your apps, and that can be brought up at any time.
Yes, that's also that one. Thanks to Alfred, he made this cool.
It says no
here.
running apps now.
So if you open an application, as Dalton said, and then you can also open the drawer and open whatever else you want, and you can then go back to the phone. Like
Favorite
that.
apps still go on the launcher, and you can switch between them with a right swipe. So it's not completely different from the releases we have now.
Yeah, but I think it's a notch faster if you really want to go to a certain app and you know
It
where
most
it
certainly
is.
is.
And we will also have a nice search feature probably. When you have a lot of apps installed, you can sort them by alphabetically or whatsoever.
They're just
And,
sorted alphabetically now.
Yeah.
There was a big sorting. It took up a lot of space. We've actually removed it now.
Yeah.
It was also extremely complex. So
Yeah,
But the door is open for improvement there.
the door is open for improvement, and that's something that we really want to put forward with this is this can get better.
Much better. I think it was left on a little bit of a unfinished stick by Canonical, and that's why it's a little bit rough. We have tried to clean it up in as easy as we can now to get the release out. But of course, it has a lot of improvements that you can get. And already, what Dalton did here is quite amazing. I love it already. And also one thing I want to showcase before we end this.
Oops.
Oops, that was the wrong.
He locked the
button.
phone.
That's when you have too many buttons on your phone.
Oh well, I found a bug. That the keyboard seems a little bit stretched.
Yes, you can
Yeah,
still tap, but it does
It's reported
stretch when
already.
when it rotates.
Ah,
Yeah,
because of-
that is a bug. It is
It's
reported.
Yeah.
Welcome to live Q&A session. It's
I
not
didn't know
live
this.
Q&A, it's live QA session. We take out the ampersand. We make quality assurance a thing.
Ah, I can't get into it.
You can press the abort button.
Abort.
Yeah,
And to
then
make it
you
clear,
open the dialer. Then it will change. Then that's a little workaround.
There's no
Let
abort.
me
button.
mention again here that the Edge channel is not for the faint-hearted. Yeah, you need really to be you can expect worse than Devil channel, and we sometimes break Devil already, but Edge
Oh, yeah.
channel is really hardcore. Yeah?
Going to
Because
American
people were
Standard.
asking a lot on Supergroup, how can I install Edge? And we really have to say it's for developers that know what
Yeah.
they're doing. Right? Please follow that.
So one thing I want to showcase is the new mirror and how smooth
is
and
fast.
butter. I don't know if you even can see much, but look
It's
at that
not
scrolling.
very.
Oh man, look at that. Ooh, it's smooth. Living on the edge.
Smooth as butter.
Smooth as butter.
Let's call it hot melt. Okay, let's continue a little bit, shall we?
Yeah, to be
Yeah.
clear, one thing I do want to make clear, because I see some people might not understand here. This is what is in Devil right now is Unity 8. We are already using Unity 8. It's just this is a newer version of Unity 8. So it's not. That is confusing. And we don't have version numbering, and that is also confusing.
We do actually in the Debian file, but no one looks at that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's our first improvement to make.
It comes with the new infrastructure because it forces you to use version numbers.
It forces you to be a good Debian developer.
Yes.
Say, speaking of the Edge channel, there was a bug until very recently that you couldn't use the Meizu MX4 and with the Edge channel software. So, we were talking about this. Was it 2 weeks ago or a month ago now?
Was it
On the
2 weeks, 3 weeks?
That's not possible because it was in an after party of one of these.
Well,
Weeks, I think.
something like that.
But it was an after party after this, and Alfred was there, and we talked a little bit about how he had an MX4, and now he didn't have an MX4 because it was bricked. And I remembered Canonical sent us a bunch of MX4s. So we sent Alfred an MX4, and what was it? 3 days later, you had the bug fixed, and
Yeah,
Edge
right.
could boot on the MX4 again.
Yeah, it was nice to play around with it a little bit, and get to dig deeper in libhybris to actually let's call it a workaround. It's a hack, but it works, and if it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid.
Well, libhybris itself is a big hack, so
Yeah,
It
right.
is kind of, but we love it anyway.
yeah, can't live without it. Yeah, praise Alfred, I guess.
Here we go again.
Here we go again.
So we said we're gonna invite him to talk a little bit about what he's doing, why he's so awesome. Also in regards to other things that he did already for the Sony Xperia, right?
Yeah.
And give a little bit of context because if you rock like that and you provide a fix for something that the core team cannot fix easily, then you will be here on the show. Yeah. So come on, guys, you can do it.
Everyone can be heroes at UBports.
So, as I understand, you kind of got started with us with, well, you've been an Ubuntu Touch user for a considerable amount of time, I believe.
Well, I was back in the days when Canonical worked on it. I was playing around with the port for the Galaxy Nexus after they dropped the Galaxy Nexus port that they had. And I was playing around with it a little bit. I was an Android and Sailfish OS user back in the day. And now since I'm thinking like 9 months, 10 months or so, I'm using Ubuntu Touch more and more. It's now my daily driver. And yeah, I'm quite happy with it. Also on the Edge channel or stable, whatever device I'm using it right at the time. I'm pretty happy with the experience at the moment.
All right. So how did you get into the community then?
Well,
How did you fall into us?
well, I was playing around with my Sony Xperia X, which I have right here. So, yeah, maybe you can see it or not.
Oh,
and it's
that's running.
Yeah, it's right. I was playing around with it, trying to port Ubuntu Touch onto it. There are still a few issues here and there. So, for example, sound does not work. The indicator does show up, but it's not playing any sound. So, if anybody out there in the community has an Xperia X, maybe you can help out in this. Would be very appreciated. So most of the things that you expect on the phone work. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, calling should work, but it doesn't because of audio. And yeah,
It looks like it works, and that is half the battle.
of
Right?
course, yeah. So it's only the open issues on the issue tracker right now are audio and camera and video. So all the multimedia stuff is not fully fleshed out yet, but probably we might be getting there. So let's see where it goes.
And that is something that isn't specific to your port.
Yeah.
That is kind of a global thing across devices that use Android 7.
Exactly, yeah. Android 7 and especially the Qualcomm chips, they seem to have a little bit of audio hiccups here and there. So, yeah. But it's probably going to get fixed someday. But let's see. I'm not going to promise anything right now.
No, and you don't need to because you are volunteering and we appreciate it. So we're not going to dump a bunch of work on you.
So Supergroup wants to one more time confirm that it's Xperia X because it seems to have now woken up everyone. There's a new device on the horizon and people came back and said, ooh, porting device. What is it? Yeah. So yeah. Is Xperia X a series of devices or is this just one device?
Well, there's the platform that Sony released called the LoRe platform, something like that, LOIRE. And there are two devices. There's the Xperia X with single SIM and the Xperia X with the dual SIM. And it's basically the same device, but little differences here and there. So when I released the call for testing ROM half a year ago, it was just for the Xperia X with the single SIM. But it's not going to take a lot of changes, and it should be working on the Xperia X with dual SIM as well.
Okay, cool. So you might get some new interested testers now after that show.
Hopefully.
Toxip in chat says, I see you jumped ship.
Could be.
Sailfish ship, yeah.
Yeah, he's from the Sailfish community. He comes here to badger us.
Well, not completely. If he follows the Sailfish OS community that quickly, he might have noticed that I've released a few new apps on the platform. So, yeah, let's just put it that way. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Perfect. So you've got some new apps coming out for Sailfish then. I see you've been doing a little bit of work on making those not just Sailfish.
Yeah, right. Well, there's, for one thing, there's the cloud application or cloud client for Nextcloud and OwnCloud, and also WebDAV. called Ghost Cloud, and it originally started out as an application for Sailfish OS, but now it's running on multiple platforms like Android. It's also on the Ubuntu Snap Store, and there is a work in progress for Ubuntu Touch as well. So it's one of the few applications that I'm working on right now, which should get a Ubuntu Touch release pretty soonish.
Ooh.
TM.
Soon TM. Ubuntu Touch trademark.
Toxip also asks, what's your username, if you're okay with that?
No, of course. It's fredel.me. FREDL.me. DOT me.
Oh, actually the word, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I will be looking out for those apps, and I will be downloading them, because I have been
Me
looking
too.
for a solution for Nextcloud on this thing for forever.
Yeah, I'm not really sure when it's going to be out, but the browsing functionality, downloading, etc., it also works. But I'm pretty sure people want like a full synchronization in there, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to tackle that issue. If I'm going to work on platform stuff on Ubuntu Touch or include it in the app, I'm not really sure. So again, no promises.
Yeah. And what he means by platform stuff on Ubuntu Touch, well, could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've come across, due to the community especially, across a few things that Canonical worked on back in the day for storage. It's a full-fledged out storage framework, and it was supposed to be included in Ubuntu Touch as far as I could tell, but it didn't get in there. So maybe it's going to be resurrected, revived, and included someday. It's at least a plan.
Yeah. And that was a storage framework for both downloading things to your device and backing them up, question mark?
Yeah, right. There is also the keeper part of it. So it might be useful to have, for example, a backup solution for self-hosted purposes, like Nextcloud and OwnCloud, and having them back up, having the phone back itself up to the Nextcloud instance automatically. So that would be quite an interesting feature to have.
That
I
would be
absolutely
next level
love
cool.
what I hear. Okay. Me and Dalton just amazed at the same time, but that's amazing.
Yeah, that was something that Canonical was working on.
I didn't know
So
that actually.
everything should still be in Bazaar, shouldn't it?
That's bizarre.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, good luck
Yeah.
with Launchpad crashing on you like 400 times. Or timing out.
Oh, that's right. You had to convert all the repos from Bazaar to Git.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Don't mention it.
I have some scripts for that ready, because when we did all the exporting for apps and stuff for UBports transition from Canonical, we dumped a lot of repositories. So I made myself quite a script that can automate that process
I
nicely
also
and
made a Python
keeps the
script, so-
history, of course. Yeah. Everybody did a script because we didn't talk with each other.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. Yeah. So I have many
I don't-
scripts.
Those
I
were the
don't
bad
match-
old days.
I don't mess with other people's scripts. No.
Never trust other people's scripts. True. Yeah, and maybe also some nice context, which is completely coincidence, of course, because Alfred is from Vienna. He's from Vienna, Austria, like myself, and we are quite neighbors, at least sometimes when he's in the city.
Yeah.
So literally, this is 80 meters or so of distance, and we just found out because when we met the first time, and then we walked off in the same direction, and then it was a guessing game who turns at which intersection or so, and we nearly found
Yeah,
out.
You
we
never
were in the same-
stopped.
Right.
Navigation in Vienna.
Yeah, something like that. So it was very nice, yeah. And I also met with him and with Aaron last, I think 2 weeks ago or so, on a quick coffee on Friday, and also with Luca again. So there are now 4 people here in Vienna that are comprising a little bit of a small Viennese Austrian community for Ubuntu Touch and related stuff. And that's also very nice. So I'm still calling, of course, other people that are in Austria, because German community is really strong now already, but Austria seems to be very, very, very tiny. Yeah? So where are all the Austrian guys? Yeah? Give us some backup. No,
You're probably all concentrated within that 80-meter area and you don't know it.
that might
Yeah,
be.
probably.
That
It
might
could-
be. Okay. Very nice. So now the expectations are high, Alfred. You have to continue, of course, on a high level. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
No,
must
just kidding.
continue producing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But,
Okay. Anyways, yeah.
more concretely and more recently, he has been contributing to Unity 8, the new one that is in Edge. So thank you for that. And you will also find him inside of the changelog for OTA 9 when that comes out,
Awesome.
because he
Thank
contributed
you.
there. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
We love you.
You're welcome. Oh, more.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
This actually, fun fact: this is the first release without me and Dalton in it.
Actually, yes. We're not in the changelog. I noticed
yeah.
that.
We have been too busy on Edge.
That's a good thing. That is really good.
Yeah.
More specifically, all of the changes that went into Ubuntu Touch OTA 9 as it is right now, since it doesn't exist yet, were done by people who are not myself or Marius.
Yep. We have not been lazy. We have worked on Edge, so don't worry.
I mean, we've kind of been lazy.
Maybe you. But
Okay, so it's middle of the show. We take
Jump to
an
questions,
announcement break, right?
Announcements? Yeah, we
oh
do.
yeah, it's the mountain.
So I think it's a good time. We should thank some of our sponsors for the UBports Foundation. Wow, that's good to say. So thank you to everyone who is supporting us directly on PayPal or on Patreon. Just to note, those are not currently tax deductible. We're getting the what's it called? IBAN? Is that what you guys call it?
Yeah, so basically the point is their bank account is still not there. And also we have to circulate now a few documents. So while technically Foundation is approved, it's not in place because we made it not officially. So I signed already some document here. It will be probably something more because, it's a lot of paperwork. And then we can open a bank account. And then when we have a bank account, we can accept also tax deductible donations from everyone who can transfer to that bank account. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think one thing to note is that legal stuff takes a lot of time. I think that's what we are learning from this. It's like everything needs to go through a million different things, and
in some ways it really makes the lawyers worth it.
well, they extend the time even more. So
Okay. But that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who's donating to us, especially to our community sponsor patrons, Darko Balka, Lorenzen Tilleman, and Thoralf San.
Yeah.
And also thank you to our company sponsors, including Smooze, Private Internet Access, DigitalOcean, Packet.net. And you can find all of them on ubports.com/sponsors. If you would like to donate to currently not tax-deductible UBports, you can go to ubports.com/donate to find all of the links there. And we would greatly appreciate if you do. We use that money to buy servers and devices and generally make the project work. Okay. Well, that's my spiel. Shall we do some questions?
Let's do it.
Let's do some questions. So we take these questions every fortnight from our forum, and you can find that at forums.ubports.com. The post for that is posted in the news section, generally by the account, which is handily called UBports News.
Doo-doo-doom.
Our
We
first
should have
question
some
this week
audio
comes in
messages
from
here.
Mark. Sorry. Our first question this week comes in from Mark. How do you squeeze a desktop OS onto a phone, especially phones with very modest specs, like the BQE 4.5 was?
Okay, so this is I think we do it the other way around. I think
We
make
didn't.
well, we didn't. Canonical did, but what they did, they made it the other way around. They made a phone OS and squeezed it into a desktop.
In some ways, yes.
In some ways, so they built the desktop environment and everything around it for phones, and then expanded it to desktop. So that's the way they did it, as far as I know. Of course, not all the GNU stuff underneath and all that. But I'm talking about purely the desktop environment and Qt Mirror and Mirror and all these things that was in the beginning specifically made for phones. So
Yeah.
And also, maybe we should reflect on the question: does he mean for, let's say, consumption of space on the flash, or RAM consumption, or CPU thingies? Because
a little bit of all.
Except of CPU issues that we saw, with RAM issues that we saw for quite some time, everything else is somehow fine, except that we hit our flash partition limit when we do upgrades, and so the squeezing, when we go with the OTA, we cannot squeeze endlessly into our updates and add new packages. That's also why people have to understand we cannot just add Debian packages endlessly and improve the system with getting it larger and larger. We have to really make choices about what we do. For example, we took out printing again for some time because printing somehow pulled in a lot of dependencies, and then it got too big again.
Yep.
So our constraint is only that the Android phones that we are currently support have small partitions for upgrades, small cache partitions, and we need to respect it. Everything else is fine.
So that on that side, that's not really a phone's issue, because those partitions are selected because it's just one hard drive, whatever, easy to say, a flash drive on it. So it's not really the device fault, it's Android's logic fault.
Rodney said it best, as he has a habit of doing. Ubuntu Touch is also not a traditional Linux distribution.
Yes.
Ubuntu Touch was designed for phones. It was not squeezing a desktop OS down. It was designing something for a phone.
Yes.
And we got to take most of that design and carry it on. ...
is typing. I think that's a really, really good point, is that taking something that's already bloated and trying to squeeze that, like, for example, if Canonical wanted to take Unity 7 and squeeze it in the phone, would be probably nearly impossible, because there's so many
little less.
Yeah, I at that point I think it was easier to build a new one, because there's just so much to take into consideration on a phone that you don't even bother thinking about when you make it for desktop. There's so many small stuff, like even just cut and paste on phone is,
yeah, you don't think about it until you have to think about it.
Yes, there's so much small stuff, like even though things work, if you had put Unity 7 on it, there is so much around that would be just not enjoyable to use at all. So yeah.
Our next question comes in from Krilla. Is that
Krilla?
Pretty good.
Who is also the developer of Fluffy Chat, and you should all go to his Patreon, which you can find linked on fluffy.chat, because that guy needs some support. But he had a question this week. Do you think that a benevolent dictator for life would be good for Ubuntu Touch?
No. So hold it just for a second. Yeah, but just maybe translate the term benevolent, because it's for me in my English repository, this is on the very, very far, let's say, corner that I never touch. So
sure.
Benevolent is something that our listeners might not know by heart. So
you need to git pull from upstream English.
So a benevolent dictator for life is normally the founder of an open source project who decides, I'm going to have full control over this project and I'm the final say of whether things happen or not. Yep. And the benevolent part comes from normally people are okay with that.
Yep. So I think the answer for this is no. I think
Yeah.
what we set out to do with UBports is to be a community project and not a purely one person's opinion project. And this is also the thing that I really made strongly why we should not do this, because it's not good for a community. Let's say it like that. Of course, it's possible if you have a lot of money, you can do it. But being a dictator of a community project, it's not. No. And also, it doesn't make sense if we want to have an operating system that is free and not owned by anyone. We can't have it owned by a dictator, like Google. Like you can say Google is a dictator of Android in some way or another. Even though there's company around supporting it, Google do whatever they want with Android,
And then they
and that's
release it later.
yes.
It's not a community project, it is their project that
Yeah.
you just happen to be able to use.
And a
Yes.
very prominent recent example would be Solus, because I followed this a little bit in the German community. There was a huge hype about Solus. Everybody was totally trusting that one guy can decide everything on his own. And then, we all
Then he
know
left.
how this ended. And then he just disappeared from one day to another. And this is not what we want to have with
Yeah.
this project. That's one of the many reasons why there is no good idea to have a dictator in whichever form it's called, and also not just for life. If you can be dictator, then maybe for 6 months or so, and then somebody else can be, but not for life.
It's a rolling dictatorship.
But yeah, to all seriousness, no, it's not something we want or nor should have. It's I think this is what makes UBport special in the phone market, especially now, is that all the other operating system are dictator based, like Android, iOS, Sailfish. It's all owned by a company that's then dictates what they should do. But what we have seen now recently is UBports coming along, of course, but then we also have Postmarket OS, which is also community based. So we see some movement in this area, and I really hope to that's the way we get along further in the future. We need the people's opinion, not just Google's.
I would like to put that in perspective, though, because just because there's no one person controlling the operating system, there are still people who understand the entire stack better and can make better decisions about the operating system and whether or not something makes sense to do in it.
Yep.
So not a it's not like a distributed model. It's no, how does that work? Decentralized and distributed. It's decentralized, not distributed. Yeah, because distributed is everyone has a copy. Yeah. I understand computers.
Yeah, of course, as Dalton said, like, of course, the developers make developer decisions. That's of course a given. But what we mean is not one person dictating that the button should be there and not there.
But the button should be there, by the way.
But if we have like situations where we get, should we use libhybris or something else, that's of course up to the core developers of the project, because that's that first of all, that's a technical questions that they know the best. And also, but also it's not one person, one developer is not making the decision. There's multiple developers making decisions.
There we go.
Yeah.
To the people who are asking questions in YouTube live chat, we do have quite a packed schedule this week. So if we don't get to your questions, I highly recommend you head over to forums.ubports.com for the next Q&A and put those questions there, because we'd like to take them from the forum first. They asked first. And it helps get the wording of your question solid. Speaking of the forum, LibraMax asked us some questions on the forum. His first question was about the Librem 5. So let's give a little update.
So on the Librem 5, there is a short update, sadly. We haven't got the development kits yet. We can't do anything. We haven't
Yeah.
got them. I don't know where they are. I see that KD had got them, so I don't know what the
So
situation
they should be
is.
coming.
They
But
should be coming.
yeah.
I know I'm also not the one that handling this. It's Ricardo, as you know. He's the business guy. You seeing him on the last Q&A. But as far as we know, there's there is stuff moving there, but
not from us.
not from us. It's not. We can't do anything. Basically, we don't have anything to work on.
Levermax had another question. It's a bit of a paragraph first, though. The Ubuntu Touch install video 2018 has been viewed more than 120,000 times. It's great, but no one has replied to the comments or the questions, and there's no links to the UBports website or forum. I think that a new install video would be interesting if there are any visual changes. But more generally, there's no one managing the UBports YouTube channel to engage more people to try Ubuntu Touch. Do you think there's any way to improve that? I'm not a candidate to handle this. So that was a good final part there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
disclaimer.
I think he sums it up with the bottom line there is that we don't really have people ready to like just immediately maintain something like that, because of course it's a lot of work to make a video first of all, but also to reply to every comment if someone do something. But we do manage YouTube. That's the thing. We have but rarely
We don't normally reply to comments is the thing. We read them, but we don't reply to them. Or at least I get them. I get the notifications about all of them.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
I mean, we can take it up with marketing. If our marketing team says yes, there is capacity for some better management of the YouTube channel, we can think about it. I think we should take it as a suggestion. That's not so bad. Honestly, I didn't think about this before. To me, the channel was always something like, it's just if we link something from the forum, we link it from the Telegram group, from our Q&As. The people have the link, they just watch the video and they leave again. But obviously it's not the case. They really do either comments or other people come there directly, not via some jump URL that we provide. So it's not just a video storage. If it should be really a channel, then it's true we should manage it a little bit better.
If
we will take it
to
up
be
with
a community
marketing.
channel,
Yeah.
Our community.
It's definitely a good idea to see what we can do there.
What he did make some easy admissions there, though, such as putting the website in the description of the video. So that's a pretty easy one. I should fix that. I'm gonna write that down. Our next question came in from Trayaya. The eventual retirement of 2G and 3G in many markets will require many users to move to voice over LTE for voice in the future, for phone calls. What is the state of voice over LTE in Ubuntu Touch?
So this is something I looked at a while back, and as far as I know, there is some support in Ophono for it, but there is still things that we need to do. But I think the second most pressing issue is that we don't really have any devices to support this functionality.
Right.
So
nothing with hardware.
Yeah, I'm not sure if, but there is something that we can do. We can maybe make the of a Wi-Fi thingy work. I'm not sure how the voice over Wi-Fi, whatever. It's
I
called.
wonder if that's custom for every carrier, though. Someone's gonna message me and tell me that I'm wrong. I hope they do.
Yeah, there might be custom for every, but at least in Norway they standardize. So I'm not sure if that's standard in Europe or something like that, because we have more rules. But I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure the devices need to be specifically supported for voice over LTE, because there is a specific specification for it.
Right, that part is true. And for regular Linux devices such as the Pine phone, I think they take the voice in pin on a special pin on the SoC, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't. But let's
okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't. It's
Not
such a long time since I researched this. But I I think if this is an issue that, as you said, in many markets they are shutting it down, I think this is something we should focus on. But I wasn't aware that anyone was shutting down 2 or 3.
It's in America more.
Well,
Verizon just shut down Edge, I think.
well, you still have 3G though, so I don't
Yes.
see they shutting that down.
Yeah,
Not
let's take it as another suggestion. I mean, we cannot go into deep now, anyways, because we don't have the full picture. But so the answer to the question is, unfortunately, VoLTE is not supported at all, as far as we know. But we have to find out if we can do it on some side channel, let's say. And we have to get a feeling if we need to prioritize this or not. I don't know. But as
Yeah,
we
right.
said, if there are no devices at the moment, then we have a bigger problem also here, because that means that our old devices are getting too old at a certain point to be really usable in all the networks on a global scale, let's say. Yeah.
Well, I don't see 3G shutting down anytime soon though, but I might be wrong.
Maybe.
At least not in
I
Europe.
don't know. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't know. The US network is weird.
Yeah. So if any users outside knowing more details about shutdown of 3G networks in the near future, please tell us where and when it can happen so that we can jump in and do something on a short term. Maybe.
Of course, if they are shutting down somewhere, we will prioritize it.
Then it does need to be a bit more of a panic then, doesn't it?
Yes. But if they don't shut it down, we have other issues that I think is more important. But if they are shutting down, we definitely need to hurry up.
All
Okay.
right. Tom OQV had a question.
This is a fun one.
I'm kind of curious about which desktop operating systems the UBports core team members are using and why.
KDE Neon.
This
I
is
use
the
KDE
operating system.
Why? I use KDE Neon and Debian with KDE because I want the newest and greatest KDE, basically. I use Neon because it has Ubuntu and it's easier to do development on that. I also use Kubuntu on this machine, actually, because it's stable.
So I'll go next.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we were talking about Solus before? I went back to Solus.
It's a lost cause, guys. Lost cause.
He's lost. Leave him behind. Here we go. Yeah, I was away from Solus for a while. I went to Ubuntu after, I don't remember why. Probably because I couldn't cross compile, and that's still a problem, but I'll figure a way around it now. The thing is, with Ubuntu, I broke KDE somehow, and I didn't know how to fix it. And I guess I didn't really care enough to fix it. So I just installed a different operating system, and it was Solus.
Yeah, I have tried Solus before also. It is a great operating system for sure.
It's really cool. It boots fast. It's fast. It works for me. So I'm just going to keep using it until it goes away.
But it just
I don't think it will go away because the new maintainership is really great. But, you know.
Yeah. The thing with Solus is that it's great, but it doesn't really, for me, that it works on Debian packaging system all the time. It makes it way too hard. So that's why I stick with Ubuntu, because
let's put Florian on the spot.
Oh yeah.
That's a tough one for me because I have to be in between all the worlds. So based on my work and also my history in computing at all, I have still a strong use of Windows. So during my day job, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he said the bad word.
Ryan.
Yeah. No, really. I'm just because that's what I'm doing since the last 10 or 15 years already, working mainly with Windows on my bread and day jobs. But besides me, there is my laptop with the good old Ubuntu 16.04, and it still has the remains of the SDK installed. So I could even try to start the old emulator, and it will crash, but it's there. So my Ubuntu machine sits here. And basically, for all the UBports Ubuntu Touch work, I mainly work on this notebook, and the Windows PC at home is Like for example, now I'm streaming from that one. It kind of arrangement mixture between how to place the screens and the notebook, and I don't know. Maybe I will rearrange everything this year. It can be, because I need a new notebook soon, so maybe that one will be the primary machine in this case. It's easier to remote control the Windows PC than to really have a good remote desktop from
Yes,
the Ubuntu machine. I
absolutely.
must also say this at this point, because I'm
Well,
VNC, I'm using
SSH is
VNC
king.
now.
SSH is king.
Yeah. It's really strange, but it's like that.
Whatever
yeah,
works
so
for you is the best operating system in the world.
true.
Yeah, but he also has excuse since he's doing it for work, and you can't really force. You
I
can't
had
really.
never any choice with that. Yeah.
You can't really force your workplace to use something else. Then they will just fire you.
And also on that point, why it's so really hard for me, because when I started working, there was absolutely no real companies here, at least in Austria, that were doing Linux and stuff. So if you had Linux on your private machine somewhere, everybody played with it. Yeah, it got already strong community, but on the professional sector, it was just not a thing. Yeah. That came out in the last years, and there are companies now, even here in Vienna, that completely rely on Linux and I would say, I don't know, distributions and doing stuff for that and software, but not when I started working. So I was dragged into Windows development. I confess, I couldn't resist. Okay, no joking.
Okay, Alfred,
Yeah.
you want to share your secrets?
Well, I'm mostly using Ubuntu 18.04, the LTS release, because I really like myself some LTS goodness, not having to maintain everything like I previously did on Arch. So yeah, but sometimes I switch back to the newer non-LTS releases. So it's mostly Ubuntu for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also staying on LTS for Kubuntu, and KD Neon is already on LTS. So
Yeah, right.
the only excuse is Debian. That's always bleeding edge on SID. But yeah,
Good luck,
I
have
agree
fun.
with you there. I agree with you on the stable. So
I should say I also have Pop! OS on my laptop, and that is also really great. And that is Ubuntu
yeah,
18.04.
Pop! OS is great.
Yeah.
I love it, but I don't use it.
Wow. That was a lot of questions, and that was a lot of
Uh-huh.
time we took up.
Yeah.
So for all of the questions that remain, let's push those to the next
I-
Q&A. Oh,
I will take a quick one. That's
Okay.
actually a quick one here. It's the
Yeah.
how far away are we from WebGL support in the browser?
Oh,
And I
okay.
think
Yeah.
no one has actually been working on this. So I think how far we are is also depending on the Qt team, since we are not maintaining the Qt Web Engine stuff. So if there is already support in the newer versions, we will get it when the newer version when we upgrade. If it's something on our side, we have to look into it. But one thing I know for certain, we still don't have hardware acceleration working, and that's something we are working on. So I think that's probably something that needs to be fixed before WebGL works at all.
Just a quick side note here. They wrote right on their blog in Qt 5.12, there is Qt Quick WebGL platform plugin, also known as WebGL streaming. I don't know if this is the full set of WebGL things, but at least they have something there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is not since we are not maintaining it. It's also
Yeah.
not only
So we
depending on us.
would have to see if this can get into Ubuntu Touch at a later stage when we are upgrading Qt once more.
And it's okay with the EGL and a lot of things to think about there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That was a quick one. Yes.
No, that wasn't a quick one. We took up the whole time. What are you talking about?
I mean, the last question was a quick answer.
I am sorry. Well, that should do it then. Thank you everyone for watching this Ubuntu Touch Q&A. The fun might be over now, but for any questions that we didn't answer this week from the forum, we will try to push those onto the next Q&A and take those. There were a few interesting ones here, so most certainly. Anyone who was in live chat who had questions, I'm sorry we didn't get to you, but I highly recommend you also
Highly.
go onto the forum. Highly.
You need to update your English repository too.
I do get full English.
He accidentally pulled the Australian branch into it.
You can find us during the week on tons of social networks, and you can join our community at forums.ubports.com, Telegram at UBports, or Riot, #UBports:matrix.org. That's a mouthful. But you can also find us on the social networks, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Mastodon, Diaspora, and no longer Google+. Rest in peace, Google+.
Not for business.
Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we will see you all in the next one.
Bye.
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 Press the like button.